This is a tutorial for my arrangement of the First Noel. You'll find a playthrough at the end of this, and if you'd like to order it, there's a link in the description. This is for the Fingerstyle player or the hybrid picker, and if you're following the tab below, make sure you do pay attention to the music notation above as well for chords and fingerings. Before we go through the arrangement, there are some chords I want to show you. In measure 2 and in several other measures, you'll see this D7 chord. It's not your open D7. This is a D7 that's shaped like a C7. So if you form a C7 chord and then move everything 2 frets higher, so now your third finger is on the 5th fret, now it is a D7 chord. And you're playing the middle 4 strings of the guitar. In measure 26 and in one other spot, you'll see this D7 shell voicing. It's the same as this D7 chord I just showed you, but no second string. Just these 3 notes. And I normally finger this with fingers 3, 2, and 4. The way it works out in the arrangement, you'll be playing this with fingers 2, 1, and 3. In measure 4 and several other measures, you'll find this G major 7 chord. So this is first finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret, and finger 1, 3, 4, and 2. Now if you were strumming this chord, you would want to make sure you're muting the 1st string and the 5th string. However, since we're playing fingerstyle, we don't worry about that too much. We're going to pluck just the strings we need anyway. And then in measure 3 and several other spots, we'll see the C major 7 chord. So it's just like an open C chord. Just lift your first finger, you've got a C major 7. Having looked at those chords, let's now look at verse 1. We begin with 2 pickup notes. Doesn't really matter what finger you use here. We have an open string and then an A. I'm using my 2nd finger. You could use another finger. First full measure is based on a standard G chord. You're just plucking 1 or 2 strings at a time. 1 and 2. And I like to use my 3rd finger and 2nd finger here because pretty soon I'm going to need my 1st finger. In both the standard notation and the tab, you'll see some little curvy lines attached to some notes. Those are let ring or let vibrate markings. When you see that marking attached to a note, that note should ring throughout the measure. So if it's a note that's an open string, just try not to touch that string again. If it's a note with the finger held down, hold that finger down through the measure. So after you're finished playing this part of a G chord, let all this ring. While that's ringing, you're going to put finger 1 on this A because that's the only available finger, and then open, and then first finger here and on the C. Next measure, the 2nd full measure, we move to that D7 chord I showed you. So we just played that C with first finger. You just have to move it 2 frets higher to the D, form that D7 that's shaped like a C7, and you play 1 or 2 notes of the chord at a time. You play 1 and 2. Let all these notes ring that you just played, and then while you're holding this down, you play open, and then you reach over a little bit, play first finger on that F sharp. Next measure is based on that C major 7 chord, but we are also placing the 4th finger on this G melody note here. And we're just picking a little bit of the chord at a time, letting all these notes ring. This is finger 3 and 4. So you just pick them and hold them, and then finger 2, and then open, and then here's that G major 7 chord I showed you. Again, playing just 1 or 2 strings at a time, 1 and 2. I'm going to go back to the beginning, play that much just so you can hear the timing of when you're plucking all these strings. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And surprise, 1 and 2. Pick up to measure 5 is the same as pick up to measure 3 based on that C major 7 chord. Open, and then whatever finger you'd like to use here. And then here's that C major 7 chord. Here's the D7 chord. Now we're playing the upper note and the bass note at the same time, and then picking the other strings on and 2. So 1 and 2. open, first finger stretches over, try to keep these other notes ringing as much as you can, and then a standard G chord. Play this with fingers 3 and 4. Finger 4 just moves to the D there on the second string, and then fingers 1 and 2, keeping this low G. During the time I was talking, the G stopped ringing, but you want to keep this low G ringing throughout. And then G chord, melody on string 2. That's a lot to take in. Fortunately, measures 9 through 16 are the exact same as measures 1 through 8. So I'm going to play in measures 9 through 16, hear how that's all put together. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. G major 7. G chord. Now we're at the refrain. Pick up to measure 17. We've got some double stops. G and B open here. And then this D and A, I like to play the A with my second finger. Makes it easy to get to this B at the beginning of measure 17 with your first finger. Back to the D and the A, open and 2. And then 2 open strings. Finger 1 and 2, G major 7 chord again. This time you're playing all 4 strings at the same time. Hold this for 1, 2 beats. More double stops here. Fingers 1 and 3. Finger 1 is at the 3rd fret on the 1st string. And then finger 1 slides 1 fret lower. This is fingers 1 and 2 now. Measure 19. This is all just based on a C chord. So beat 1 is the 2 highest notes of a C chord. Hold that out, and then while that's holding out, on beat 2, you play the rest of the C chord. Hold that now, and then first finger kind of squishes over and plays the F sharp on the 2nd fret there. Here's the G major 7 chord again, all 4 strings at once. 1, 2, on beat 3, first finger moves over to the low F sharp on 2nd fret. So 1, 2, 3. And here we have a melody note G, and underneath that we have an E minor chord. Doesn't really matter what finger you're using to play the G here because all the other strings are open. F sharp on 2nd fret, then open. And then these next 2 measures are the exact same as measures 6 and 7. So we have to get to the D. We have the D7 chord, G chord, finger 1 and 2, and G chord. I'm going to go back to measure 17, play the refrain again all the way through. Double stops. G major 7, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Verse 2 now, pick up to measure 25, the melody is in the bass. You can play this B with any finger you like. I'm using first finger. And then a low A. And you can play this G at the beginning of verse 2 with any finger you like. I'm using finger 2. On beat 2, you play the 2nd and 3rd strings, the G and B. So 1, 2, and then the A. Now the fingerings do matter. So finger 1 on the B, finger 2 on the C. Now slide finger 2 over to the 5th fret on the 5th string. And this is our D7 shell voicing. That's the bass note for it. And on beat 2, you pluck the other 2 notes. Finger 1, finger 3, and then slide finger 3 to the 5th fret. And now we have some double stops on strings 2 and 4. Fingering is 3 and 4. Finger 2 and 1. Now slide fingers 1 and 2, 2 frets lower. And then 2 open strings. And on beat 2, you play this low G with your 2nd finger. I'm going to head back to the beginning of verse 2, play just that much. 1, 2. shell voicing. 1, 2. 1, 2. Pick up to measure 29, the melody is going to be played mostly sliding up and down the 4th string, and in between melody notes, we're going to pick open Gs. Finger 1, finger 4, then slide finger 4 over to the 5th fret, and then right after that, so that's a G note, but we have another G note that we play right after that as an open G string. So we have a G here, we have a G here. And you're going to play that open G between these melody notes. So G and a G, 3rd finger on the F sharp, and then play that G again. E, G, D, E, F sharp, G, D, and then C on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Oops. And then whatever finger you like to play on this low B, I'm using finger 1 right now. So that's going to be B, D, G. I'm going to go back and play that much again. Then measures 33 through 40 are the same as the 8 measures we just covered, the beginning of verse 2. 1, 2. And then we have a refrain again. This is the last 8 measures. These last 8 measures are the exact same as the refrain at measure 17. So once you've learned the music at measure 17, you're all set for this last part.